Sure. Yeah. So Erik Claster, I'm currently the principal at Viking Consulting, inside sales consulting. It's a hands-on consulting firm and for B2B SaaS primarily, but also other technologies. I've been in this realm for the last 25 or so years, 24 years. I started as kind of an in-house sales and sales development person. About 6, 7 years ago, I decided to kind of take my trades and see if I could leverage that to help companies that were in similar stages to the companies I worked for to maybe mitigate some of the risk of early stage startups or hyper growth companies that are further down in their journey that seem to have similar issues. And I did it again and again for companies that I worked with, and that's what I do in the last 6, 7 years. Well, that's interesting because I think that if you take the traditional roles, take any directors of or VPs of marketing or content or sales development, everyone's got their own idea of what it means to enable sales. Take a traditional marketing professional who's the head of a department, they would say that they're enabling the sales department. That's exactly what they're there to do. Aside from build the brand and all that, they're there, sales is their client. And if you take, the sales development team, they would say, well, we're here to enable our sales team, our account executives. And if you take the account executives, they'd say, well, I'm enabling. Everyone would say, point in different directions as to who's enabling who. And they're all right, right? Everyone's enabling. But I think that when we say sales enablement, perhaps it's a little bit of a misnomer. What we're really talking about is we're talking about a very qualitative and nitty-gritty look at the intricacies of what makes a proper and successful sales organization with all of its partners work. And the way we look at it is I don't want to say this, too much, but it's a complicated look, a complex look, or I would call it maybe cognitive look, and not just a simplified look of dashboards and reports. It's a way to look at it. Sometimes you need to be outside of those departments to look at it in a way that's very clear, maybe even scientific or statistical, data driven, and also methodological. And that's really the point, is that to really enable the process, let's call it enabling that process to do well. You have to look at it that way. And well, everyone is enabling sales process, because if you're not selling, then it's a hobby, right? The company's not a company, it's a hobby. So everybody wants to enable the increase of sales and the productive sales and all of that. Sales enablement is outside of that, and it's looking at the entire process, every bit of it, in a very, I would say, discerning way, in a very analytical way and methodological way, and then manufacturing that into bite-size and digestible pieces for each player in that, the different teams. So, the idea is that, oftentimes, even in a very well-meaning and productive company, it's almost like everyone's kind of talking about it and from different pieces, and they all kind of are just group thinking and describing this role. And there's oftentimes nobody to really say, oh, piecing all that together, this is a role called whatever you want to call it, sales enablement or whatever fancy name. Oftentimes colleagues are talking about a missing piece, okay? Or managers across departments are talking about missing pieces, and they're actually describing much of what you would think a sales enablement professional or team member would do in that space. And I mentioned this earlier. I've been part of companies and I've watched companies try to take a puzzle piece that doesn't fit and put it into that role of sales enablement. And everyone's describing the shape of the piece, and here comes a solution piece, and it's not the right size, it's not the right pieces. It doesn't fit well with what's being described by the organization. And it's repetitively tried. And those of us that are kind of around hoping that we'll get this correct are just it's kind of like a march of folly, watching, oftentimes organizations trying to make that fit, because they can't, the description of what it is never really formulated, in my opinion, to the right puzzle piece. And it's a general description. It's what you said. It's just, regurgitating the same reporting or data or whatever without, and that's not what we're talking about. So that's the unfortunate side, is that I've been on the side where we've wanted and needed that, and it's taken way too long, if it's ever even been successful, to fit that right piece in to enable. And when it happens, everybody, all those partners in that whole sales cycle, they all have kind of a sigh of relief. It's the managers and the team members and everyone. Once it does link, it's a really great. I would call it kind of a force multiplier for that.
So it's a very long question, I know, but going back to
I would
that
say, I would
business.
say, first of all, congratulations, because you're far ahead of many, many, many companies or your peers in the fact that you've already prioritized this role. Wherever you are in your journey, in your startup journey, whether you're at the very beginning, it'd be extremely impressive, and further on down, also impressive that you were able to do that. Congratulations, but be careful because a sales enablement professional or that position, that team member first of all, is a team member, and it's not just a glorified trainer of new employees. This is someone that has to be part of your team and treated as such. This is someone that you can gain from and leverage for the success of your sales organization if you treat them as such, as a team member, and ask them challenging questions. Don't ask them to just build you a new dashboard or a better report or give us a stat about whatever. Ask them to give a critical look at what's going on. Ask them questions that are not yes or no questions, as those of us in sales like to shy away from. Ask them qualitative questions about your process and how it can be improved. Give them credit in that regard. Let them answer difficult and intricate questions about why certain things are happening well or not well. Don't don't let them off easy in that regard. They want to be challenged and they want to dig deep. So don't let them off. Challenge them. Give them the task to bring qualitative discussions and explanations for what's going on, and then listen.